having 30 years of work experience in Russia and the UK, and as an in-house counsel, advised on real estate, commercial contracts, M&A, and franchising issues. She led a multi-million M&A deal in Russia, as well as legal tech projects within Pizza Hut, which everybody knows globally, I think. Olga has a master's degree in legal tech. I would say she's one of the first in Europe, of the AI law school, I think in Spain. And she's part of the SYKE, the world famous SYKE team, managing opportunities in Russia and the CIS countries. We also got Daan Simpson from Belgium. Daan is a freelance innovation consultant, currently has another job, but he will tell you about that. He's the creator of Legaltechjobs.com and formerly co-founded the Legal Tech and Design Agency. While having finished law school, Daan never worked in a legal function, but that's quite amazing. But instead decided to pursue a career in consulting and digital projects. And one of our first speakers will be Ilona van Opdorp. Ilona is a lecturer here in the Netherlands in legal tech and legal design, and the coordinator of the Legal Tech Alliance and Design Lab of the University of Applied Science in Leiden. Besides that, she's co-founded the Legal Tech Alliance in 2015, a collaboration of 12 universities of applied science on the field of legal tech. And since 2019, she's the president of the Legal Tech Alliance. I think the Legal Tech Alliance is quite special in the legal tech space, because I don't know a legal tech alliance in a country with so many law schools as in the Netherlands. And as one of the other speakers, we have Malin. Malin is a legal technologist at DLA Piper in Sweden, law school student at the Stockholm University, and organizer of the Stockholm Legal Tech Hackers and Stockholm Startup Bootcamp. Her passion lies in interdisciplinary work and teams and is disrupting the status quo. So I think they're very interesting speakers. I think we could start right away, because we have a lot of speakers this time, and give them the room to tell you about what they do. So let's start with Ilona. Ilona, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeroen, and welcome everyone. It's an honor to be the first speaker of this webinar. As Jeroen said, I'm Ilona. I'm president of the board of the Dutch Legal Tech Alliance. And this alliance is a collaboration of 12 universities of applied sciences in the Netherlands. We are a group of 24 lecturers driven by innovation, and our current focus is technology and design thinking. Our main goals are sharing our teaching materials and building a community of innovative thinkers, both lecturers and students. From our educational perspective, it's not only important to know what's currently necessary in the legal field, but we also have to focus on the future, because the law students of 2021 are the lawyers of 2025. I'm here on behalf of the Legal Tech Alliance. I work for the University of Applied Sciences in Leiden. It was something with Alliance, Jeroen said, but I'm the coordinator of the Legal Tech and Design Lab, where students make great things. In this webinar, we are all looking for answers on important questions, such as how can a legal technologist help a law firm becoming more effective? And where can I find these legal technologists? Well, before I can answer any question, we need to address or define what we are talking about, because what is a legal technologist and what is legal tech? What are we talking about? Legal tech is software and technology specifically designed for the work of lawyers or the support of legal processes in organizations. In my opinion, legal tech makes the work of lawyers more fun, because the easy task can be automated and lawyers have more time to solve complex cases. Legal tech ensures a more efficient process and therefore a more satisfied client. The other question about the legal technologist I will address later on, Firstly, I will explain more about legal tech in the curricula of the Universities of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands. In our curricula, we currently focus on IT skills. Students learn more how to work with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and they learn how to draw a decision tree, for example. We teach students how to use technology carefully. Students get an introduction to legal tech and legal design thinking. And we also focus on IT and legal tech within the internships. Some universities even offer a legal tech track. Students who follow such a track also learn more about e-discovery, automation platforms, document automation, and legal analytics. Our goal is to deliver legal problem solvers. If technology is a part of that solution, our legal problem solvers need to address that. They need to understand that technology what technology can and cannot do. They need to ask questions and ask for help from other disciplines. They need to be the connection between those disciplines. I can't say it better than Kat Moon, so I will just quote her. A more holistic set of competencies wielded by a more diverse group of legal professionals is required to address increasingly complex challenges in an increasingly complex world. At this moment in my university, we are exploring a collaboration between computer engineering and our law department, a minor where students from both studies in their 4th year work together on a legal tech assignment. So, back to the question. Do we deliver legal technologists? Well, that's the question. Because what is a legal technologist? I'm very curious how Malin and Olga, 2 of the other speakers of this webinar, will answer this question. For now, I will give it a try. In my opinion, it depends on what we ask from a legal technologist. What I've learned in the last 7 years is that there are only a few people that really own the 2 disciplines. In my opinion, they have some sort of unicorn status. More realistic, in my opinion, is that legal technologists are lawyers that understand technologists and vice versa. I prefer to call them legal innovators. They know what's necessary to solve the problem. They know when to ask for help, and they can work in or even lead multidisciplinary teams. So I've reached my last question, an important question. Where can I find those legal technologists? Instead of looking for those unicorns, I suggest that we invest in current law innovators who are not scared to disrupt the traditional legal process. I'm convinced that each university in Europe, you can find those legal innovators. At this moment, we certainly have them in the Netherlands. So if you want to know more and learn more about what the Legal Tech Alliance focuses on, please connect with me. Well, I'm very curious if people already have questions.
So if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat box.
Good point.
That's the easiest way. Maybe I already have a question, Ilona.
Yeah.
In talks with lecturers of legal tech or legal tech educators, you also see the typical law student is not very suitable or did not like legal tech as a job, or it's not very positive to do legal tech. They're more focused on the more legal part than the tech part, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of students have the more traditional scope. When they start at university, a lot of them want to become a lawyer. And the funny thing is, if you're explaining how legal technology can also help you as a lawyer, then they slowly understand why it's important. but it's still a struggle to really sell the legal tech. And one of my students that's now currently following the minor legal tech and legal design, she said, like after 4 years, Ilona, I now finally get why this is so important, but now I can do the fun stuff. And before I had to learn, like they had to learn Excel and they had to make queries, and but she got it, but she gave me a good idea. And she said, if you show more in the beginning what you can accomplish with legal tech, more students are willing to put some effort and put some energy into it. But to be honest, Jeroen, it's a challenge.
Yeah. But it's also a time shift, so I think they will get used to it. And but it's quite difficult. I was for 8 years innovation director and head of a legal tech consultancy entity of a law firm, and we had the same discussions. But we also coped with getting good people with that combination of skill set. So it's good what you do.
Yeah, well, and in my opinion, like we should change, like not only we shouldn't, like I now teach a minor legal tech and design, but that's not the solution. In my opinion, the legal tech part, but also the legal design thinking part should integrate into the whole curriculum. But that's, I'm not sure if I'm going to reach that goal in a year, but maybe in 5 to 10 years, so that we deliver lawyers that own that more holistic set of competencies.
So we have one question from Belgium, I see. Who do you usually invite as a guest speaker for lecturers? People that really worked as a lawyer and then transformed to a legal technologist. That's a good question, Olga.
Well, to be quite honest, if it's the tech part, like explaining and working with e-discovery, or we're working with automation platforms, then we just work together with IT people and IT businesses. And we can combine, because I'm a lawyer and my colleagues are, we combine law and IT like that. We sometimes talk to lawyers that can do it both, but as I said before, they're some kind of like they're unicorns, or they have a unicorn status. It's very difficult to find people that really own both disciplines.
You see four now, eh?
Yeah, we like, that's why I'm very curious also what Malin and Olga are going to say, like how are we going to create them? Because maybe we need more of those unicorns. But for now, as Olivier, we combine IT and legal.
Yeah. More questions. Maybe the other speakers have questions.
I just have one question, if you don't mind, Ilona. I wonder, you mentioned that the girl from your student, she said that she had to do boring stuff with Word and Excel before getting into Magic. And unfortunately, I see it every day, like lawyers are very lazy to get to know closer their tools, Word and Excel. And I'm quite surprised, unfortunately, that in Western Europe we see the same, because I thought that only Russian lawyers are that lazy.
No, I'm not sure if it's lazy or if they're very used to being catered. It helps if you explain where they're going, but I agree with you, Olga. Sometimes I'm like, well, you should just do it because I say so.
Yeah, and actually what I discovered that many people don't know how much help they could get from basic Word and Excel. So they come to me, they say, can you please implement a cool technology for me? But when I start talking to them, I understand that the technology is already there. They just don't use it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, when you talk about legal tech or technology in the legal space, a lot of people imagine only I call that the buzzword bingo, AI, blockchain, and not the normal IT tools which are commonly out there, like Excel, like you mentioned, or Access, or work with that in your practice, I would say, and that's yeah. Okay, we have another question. What you elevated is very interesting to me. Studying at a German university, I'm actually very disappointed to our university doesn't offer such opportunities. Do you know the best way to address this need? Of course, or is it even possible, or how for a legal tech university hasn't been involved in a legal tech start? That's a good question. I know a very famous and good legal tech university in Germany, and that's called the Prezerius Law School, which is one of the thought leaders, I would say, in legal tech in the German space. But I think you're right on that. We still are at the start. But Ilona, maybe you could elaborate a little bit more on that.
I'm not sure like how it works in Germany, but in the Netherlands, if you are in the last phase of your study, you can also choose to participate somewhere else. So, for instance, you see a really cool subject in Amsterdam. I'm from Leiden, so my students see a very cool thing in Amsterdam. They can apply for that. So maybe it's good to ask. Maybe you have a mentor or something. Or decan, you can go somewhere to ask if it's possible to do that, because there are some good universities in Germany that do offer this, and well, maybe that's for some help. And if you're really interested, there are also a lot of companies that want to like show you, teach you. If you get out there and say that you're enthusiastic and that you want to learn, there are a lot of companies that want to help you.
Yeah, agree on that. So Ilona, our final question, and it's quite the same about the master, I would say. Do you think it would be necessary a master's, or you can access a career in a legal tech without it? Would you suggest any part-time masters?
Oh, that depends, Marco, where you're from. But in the Netherlands, you have some really nice masters. You also have a master in legal management of the University of Applied Sciences in Amsterdam, but you also have some cool masters of innovation and legal technology. Just on the top of my head, it's in Leiden, it's also in Utrecht, it's also in Tilburg. But to your earlier question, do you think it's necessary? No, I don't think it's necessary. I think a lot of these skills you can learn outside of your university. It's sometimes nice to have more people that do the same, and I think it's a good way to for your network, like the university can help you with that, but you can certainly also do it without. If you are a legal innovator and you like to think in big problems and really want to solve them, and you're a bit tech savvy, just go for it.
Okay, thank you. What Ilona says, actually, I don't think you actually need the master's degree. Like, education it's nice to have a good education. It's nice to be able to have the opportunity to follow a master's, enroll and complete it, but it's not a requirement, not at all. I think if you look at most of us, all are the speakers, we probably all have master's in law degrees, although it might not be that relevant. I mean, you could, if like Ilona stressed, like if you just have an idea and you want to go for it and you want to make it work, you don't need a degree.
Yeah, I agree on that too. Okay, thank you, Ilona. Quite insightful. If you have any questions to Ilona, you can find Ilona on the ELTA network, or through the ELTA network, or on LinkedIn. So we go to the next speaker, which is Daan. Daan is the founder of the Legaltechjobs.com website. I don't know, it's existing about 3/4 years now, I believe, Daan, or a year. Your microphone is on mute, Daan.
Sorry, I think it's been like 7 or 8 months now.
Oh, 7 or 8 months. Oh, great. So it's quite interesting. A lot of platforms already tried to set up some kind of job site. It never worked because it wasn't their main focus on jobs. It mostly was a separate issue of their platform. What Daan did is he brought in on one side every job which is about legal tech or legal innovation or a job within a legal tech startup on his website. So he will talk about that. Go ahead, Daan.
Yes, exactly. Thanks for the introduction, Jeroen. So yeah, I was asked to talk a bit about my view on roles in legal technology and my experiences with it through doing a few jobs in legal technology myself and through actually running the job board. But I can't, But first slide, why am I relevant? Why should I be talking here? Jeroen already addressed a few points. In terms of academic background, I have a master's in law as well. I even have an LLM in notaryship. And while doing the LLM in notaryship, I did a 6-month internship at a notary's office, which is a pretty traditional career path. If you complete law school here in Belgium, you become a lawyer, you become a legal counsel or a notary or a bailiff or some sort. I did the internship, and after a few months, after like doing it for 6 months, I figured out this is not what I want to be doing for the rest of my life, and not even for the next 2, 3, or 4 years until I finish the internship and then can apply for a position as a notary myself. I really didn't see myself doing it. So I enrolled in another master's, and this time a master's in innovation entrepreneurship, which gives you a completely different mindset and a completely different scope. Might have also had to do with the fact that the master's in innovation was at a business school while the others were at a traditional university. And the mindset at the business school, it brought me to such an open mind, and it got me interested in so many different aspects of a potential career not being in legal. So I, as a professional, after completing the master's in innovation, I started working in management and strategy consulting, mostly for banks and insurance companies, working on digital projects as a business analyst or project manager. Liked the project. I liked the digital aspect. I didn't really like the corporate setting of most of the companies, which I kind of already figured out the year before when I was doing the master's, because I really like all of the startups. Working for the banks and the insurance companies, I also got in touch with a lot of fintech and insurtech companies, got really interested in that. And after I completed one of my projects, I switched over to starting to do freelance work for startups and agencies, which was a completely different vibe. Nobody requires you to wear a suit or even a shirt at the office. Whereas in a corporate setting, it's much more appropriate. And my legal tech experience is, as Jeroen pointed out during the introduction, I co-founded an innovation consulting company called Ethel, based out of Belgium. What we did was we were an advising company and a digital agency, either consulting on the selection of legal technology products, legal design, more around the content and the concepts and what does it mean and how you can use it, really just evangelizing the legal tech and legal design. But in the meantime, I decided to part ways with my co-founders, and they're still continuing the company, so still online, can still check it out. After I left the company, took a few months time to find a new gig or find a new thing to keep me occupied with. And I really wanted to stay into the legal industry and the legal tech scene. So I started looking for jobs. And as you can all imagine, everybody has their own website. Everybody has their own career page. Some people have their careers on LinkedIn, some on another website. So it's quite a hassle to find all these careers. And well, I thought it was a sucky process, and I wanted to avoid the fact that other people had to go through it as well. So I decided to just combine all of those jobs into a single simple platform, which is legaltechjobs.com. And last week, I started as a growth manager at Corporify, which is a legal entity management and corporate housekeeping platform. It's a legal tech startup based out of Belgium as well. And currently still really happy doing it. If you're curious about why I set up Legal Tech Jobs, little after a month or so after I launched it, I wrote an article on medium.com, which you can consult on medium.com, or if you can have access to the slides afterwards, the link is embedded. The reason was actually threefold. Well, one, as I said, I was looking for a new gig myself. But I also, when having the innovation consultancy company, I noticed there was a mismatch. We were looking for interns and freelancers ourselves, and we couldn't really find one common ground or one common platform to like actually attract students or advertise to students, oh, these are alternative careers you can do when studying as a law student or when completing law school. Second aspect was me looking for a job, which kind of worked. And third aspect was just creating a community aspect, because I noticed there was like a mismatch in terms of offer and demand, and people weren't really finding each other on one platform, except for LinkedIn, but you still have to follow all of the right people and companies, because otherwise it's not going to pop up in your feed. But like digging deeper into the legal tech aspect or legal tech jobs aspect, which is today's topic, Ilona already touched upon it during her talk. What is a legal engineer? What is a legal technologist? What is a legal innovator? There's a lot of takes on it, and this is usually the reaction. Also, when I launched the website, people didn't really always get what it meant and what I was talking about. I would get people would push me a lot of legal counsel roles at tech companies, which can be really cool, like companies like Stripe or whatever, or Zoom. But I wasn't really focusing on those legal counsel roles because those are traditional legal positions. And my perception of what legal technology is that you have all of these cool legal tech startups trying to tackle one segment or one problem in the market. And all of them are, there's a bunch of them, like they keep on growing, keep on adding to them. There's a lot of funding in the market as well. So they're all going to keep on growing normally. Well, some of them will probably fail, but that's startup life. But to me, legal tech jobs is all about like these really interesting challenger propositions and finding good roles in these companies. But on the platform, I've also posted academic positions, funded PhD opportunities, and legal engineer and legal technologist roles or management roles at law firms, usually international law firms based out of UK or US, sometimes even also in Germany. But you see a lot of like dynamic happening around that, and you see the amount of vacancies at law firms really increasing as well. But if we zoom into this, my view on legal tech jobs and working at these legal tech startups, there's 4 popular role categories. First one is a pretty obvious one, tech roles. If you're developing a software product, you're gonna need software developers and software engineers, but that's probably not the audience in this webinar tonight. So let me go to number 2. Well, sales and business development roles, account managers, sales development representatives, and so on. Those types of roles, you can either start with building the software and then trying to sell it, or you can try selling the software, and once you have it sold, then you can go on building it. So I guess that's the reason why those 2 categories are have the most roles in them. But there's a lot of opportunities for them, and it goes without saying that's really interesting if you have a legal background, that you're able to have a much better conversation with potential customers or potential clients. Number 3, marketing and growth. All of those companies trying to get out of the ground and trying to make noise and trying to break through the fuzz, they need marketing and growth people. You have community managers, content marketeers, bloggers, or growth managers such as me. There's a bunch of really interesting roles available in that section as well, and you do need to be a bit tech savvy to do those. And then number 4, which isn't often overlooked, but although a really important category, customer success. If you want to sell the software, and if you're able to sell the software and you've built it, that's good. But you do want people to actually use the software, and that's sometimes where there's a bit of a mismatch. So that's why customer success roles are really important. And customer success roles are also really interesting because they have a steep learning curve, and you get to learn about a tech product. You get to learn how to work with it, what the kinks are, and what could go wrong with offering software. but you also get a lot of information, a lot of intel about how companies deal with their legal data, how they deal with legal processes. And you just grow immensely through doing those types of roles. If you're coming from a legal background, law school background, and you're looking for more traditional legal role, but then the 2.0 version, let's say, these are kind of like the roles that are usually most advertised: legal engineers, legal technologists, technology managers, legal operations professionals. You see a lot of those vacancies in California. Legal operations professionals, super popular. And then legal project managers, which is more of a job role in the bigger law firms, let's say. I haven't really seen it that much at smaller law firms, but you see a lot of Magic Circle firms, international, hiring legal project managers. You can also get accredited certifications online, to reply to the question in chat before, which is cheaper than following an additional master's, and which is going to give you a different mindset as well. I'm not going to go into the difference between what is a legal engineer and what is a legal technologist. To me, it's a potato thing, and time will tell. I mean, usually the engineers are a bit more people with a legal background to understand the legal concepts a bit better, while as a technologist, you get to have a more broader business spectrum or business view. But then again, it really depends upon the company that's hiring and the title they just want to give you. And as a final thing, I listed the 7 most popular roles on the platform. I combined the platform, so clicks on links through the website and the newsletter and socials. So I did an elaborate calculation in Excel, and turns out these are the most popular roles I had online in 2020. Number 1, junior legal engineer at SYKE or SYKE. Jeroen pronounced it as SYKE. KPMG, Freshfields, those are pretty well-known names, both in the UK. Loyens & Loeff is a Dutch law firm. They have hired multiple legal engineers in the past. They've hired Scrum Masters, project managers. They have, I personally think they have a really cool vision on where the future of law firms is going to go. So if you're based out of Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, or Switzerland, do check them out because they're regularly hiring. Number 5 is the first startup, actually, because SYKE isn't really a startup, it's a consulting company, is Brighter. It's a German startup. They're not as, they brand themselves as a legal tech startup, but they do more than just legal tech. They're a really interesting company. They're always hiring. They always have plus 30 roles available. So do check them out if you're looking for something in space. And then number 6, European Central Bank, which was a pretty cool vacancy. They were actually hiring 3 or 4 legal technology analysts at the time. So you see, it's not just law firms that are hiring these types of roles. For example, last week I had a role online, or posted a role, which is legal technology manager at Stripe, the payment processing company, which is definitely a super cool environment to be at. And then number 7, I added it because it was actually pretty funny. It's the head of legal tech and innovation at Beck & Brun, which is a Danish law firm. And the entire vacancy was in Danish, and still it got a lot of clicks. I think a lot of people used Google Translate and still tried to apply because it seemed like an interesting opportunity. But let me wrap it up at that point, except for the Steve Jobs thing. I stayed up last night quite late to give you guys a view of the platform. I updated the website, so if you go check it out, if you browse through legaltechjobs.com, there's an updated version in there now, which has better search filters, better location filters, and individual job pages. So if you see a vacancy over there, it's much easier to share it with other people in the future. And that was my presentation.
Great, thank you, Daan. Yeah. I also advise check it out. Check his site out. I got one more question because I don't see any questions in the chat. So if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. Do you see a different? Do you see an increasement or after the COVID pandemic? Are there more jobs? Are there less jobs? Or in legal tech space?
I wasn't really tracking it. Well, I started it actually like in May. I launched it, so COVID was already going on over here. So I can't really speak on the period before that. But what I did notice is that a lot of the roles who are being offered, that are being offered, offer the opportunity to do it remotely. While as, let's say, a year ago, companies were just opposed to hiring remotely. And nowadays it has become the norm. And well, I'm personally a really big fan of it. I love remote working. I love digital nomad aspirations and stuff. So definitely think it's a good move. And you do, like, over time, running it for 6 months, like pretty much every month except for the end of December, but that's because it's holiday season. I do see the amount of vacancies, like with a small margin, increasing. Think it's probably linked as well to the fact that a lot of the companies are raising funds and are from investors. And well, if you get money to grow, then you hire people to help you grow, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Daan. Now we see no questions in the chat. Yeah, great presentation. I agree on that. So great presentation, Daan. We go to our next speaker from Sweden, Malin.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you, Daan and Ilona, before for your presentations. It's really interesting stuff. I will also share my screen so you get to see this. And I would just like for everyone to go to menti.com. You can do this on your phone or on your computer. And you don't have to have any app, no accounts needed, no nothing. And when you've done so and you enter this access code that you can see up here, 7277596, then you can just react down here. I can see a few of you sending hearts. So I know that you are in this. This is going to be a little bit of an interactive presentation. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, a little bit about the role I have. That's been hinted at already here in the beginning. And of course, if you don't want to participate, that's of course fine as well. I will give it a few more minutes for you to get access. I have only tried this on Chrome, so if you're using some other browser, I can't guarantee that it will work. All right, and as some of you already noticed, you can react, so send me hearts, or you can ask a question whenever, and it pops up here and I can see it and I can take it whenever. And you can also leave a comment, just be like, what, or wow, or something like that. If something is too fast, too confusing, feel free to do that as well. And I will slowly get started. So, hi again. My name is Malin. I'm originally actually from Finland, so not the Swede, but I'm based in Stockholm. And I work as a legal technologist at DLA Piper here in Sweden. On top of that, I also study at law school, so I don't actually have my master's yet. Hopefully in a year from now I will, in law from Stockholm University. I also organize Stockholm Legal Hackers and Stockholm Startup Bootcamp. I see my typo there. And those are two. Legal Hackers is a grassroots organization for legal tech. So what we're trying to do is branch the gap between tech and law. And that's really what I do in my role at DLA Piper too. But that's a good question. I will get back to you on that one. But good, the question function works. And when I don't do legal tech, I like to lift weights, I like to bike, and I love a good gin and tonic. So first I thought it would be fun for you to guess what I do as a legal technologist at DLA Piper. So you can vote on your phone which one of these you think I am. And once you're done, you can submit it. You can choose several if you want to. Or if you think that it's nothing of this, then you can feel free to leave a comment as well. I see some results coming in. I know it was hinted at before what a legal technologist do, but none of these answers really match what we talked about earlier. All right, so it seems that a lot of you think and assume correctly that it is a lot about project management. As a legal technologist, my background is in law. That's what I do mostly. I have some fundamental technical understanding, but I don't do, for example, hardcore coding myself. I do know how to use the basic Office 365 package, probably in a more efficient way than your average lawyer, but that's about it. And a lot of what I do is about looking at the current work processes at our firm. So DLA Piper is a law firm, a global one. And I mainly focus on our local office here in Stockholm. We're about 200 people, so we're not that small, we're pretty big. I look at the current work processes that we have and try to identify pain points, something that's bothering people, something that's slow, something that's very repetitive. And usually people come to me and they tell me, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, this is super annoying. And then we're trying to figure out how to really fix that. So, and that can include introducing new tech products. Doesn't have to be legal technology products, although it usually is, because the advantage of using things or using companies or vendors from the legal tech space is that they've taken into account the fact that we actually work with lawyers, and lawyers are, I would say, a particular breed in terms of what type of customer they are, that you need to have understanding for to a large extent. And the next one you voted for is someone who builds legal tech tools. This is also true. In the States, a legal technologist is usually described as someone who actually builds automated services for a company, for example, by using some coding to usually patch and glue things together to make like a solution that works for that particular company. So that's not entirely wrong either. That feature in particular, I don't do that much of myself. So if I need to glue something together, then I usually use external people to help me with that. And the next one that I put in there is the funny one, someone who talks about innovation all the time. I personally don't. I talk a lot about design thinking instead, which I'm sure all the legal designers approve of in the audience and from the speakers as well. But it's really about, my job is a really design thinking appropriate, because we have to put the user, which is mainly the lawyer, in the center and ask them what their problems are, so that we can solve them in a way that actually fits their need and their workflow, and takes into account the fact that they don't have any time to put or waste in learning new things often. So everything has to go smoothly and swiftly and incorporate things that they already know, and preferably save them a lot of time and a lot of money. So hopefully that gives some clarity as to what I do for a living. I listed some of my highlights, what I do on a weekly basis. Let's see, say I'm a lot on vendor calls, so people who build things, who build software for law firms. Every week I talk about legal tech with different vendors and producers of legal tech. I manage projects, so when I need to introduce a new tool for our firm, for example, document automation software, then I create the project group, I create the test group, and I make sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to do, so we can actually get a smooth integration of our new tool that we just spent a lot of money on buying. And my favorite thing, of course, and the main purpose of why I do these things and why they pay me to do these things, is to create real-time value and resource-saving solutions, and resources mainly in terms of time-saving solutions. So I hate to see my colleagues overworked. I hate to see them bill 200 hours for 3 weeks of work. That's a lot of working hours. And I know that a lot of those hours are spent doing a lot of repetitive work, a lot of the things that could be done more swiftly and could be done more smoothly. And I'm trying to help them out so they don't have to, so they can also go home and pick their kids up at kindergarten and stuff like this, which is nice to do. And then we've talked about this a little bit during the previous presentations, like what's in the pipeline, and I was asked to talk about this with you as well. And Dan talked a lot about what are the roles, right? And let's talk, and we can talk more about what is the relevant knowledge or skill sets that you think that we will need in the future when you work at a law firm. So we're getting some answers in here. A lot of you, since it is regarding a law firm, legal knowledge is pretty relevant. So that's good that you are answering those. And I'm just gonna let it again run for a bit to see which answers come in. And UX, for those who don't know, that's user experience. So, yep. All right, this is a pretty interesting development. A really interesting one, and I don't hate it. I think everyone has participated now. So what we can see is that, and I think that you are all probably correct, because really, who am I to say what relevant knowledge and skills are useful next year or 10 years, 5 or 10 years from now? It's really, I'm not out of law school yet, and I'm sure we have a lot of law school students in the audience as well, and it's really up to us what those to be part of shaping that workplace and that next generation of law firms. So it's really good to take a moment and look at what we think is going to be important going forward. And I'm actually very happy to see that the green bar down here, soft skills, is actually more relevant than the legal skills. Someone is now voting legal to bump it up, but we can see that we at least perceive that the relevant knowledge and skills actually are soft ones. So empathy, ethical thinking, really listening. And I think a part of that is that we really want a more work-life balance in what we do in our careers. And that comes with asking empathy from our clients, from our bosses, and from our co-workers to divide that labor. So, and I really think that it's an important skill to emphasize and always prioritize when you do go out in the field and when you do go out to law firms. Just keep an eye out for what type of soft skills are actually valued and given value at the firm, and start valuing those yourself, because that way we create that change. And then of course legal skills are relevant because it's still a law firm, but with the different roles coming in and the different roles that people have, there's everyone doesn't have to have all the legal skills, of course, just the same way as not everyone needs to have all the business skills, for example. So I think my guess is that we will see a more diverse law firm, or my hope at least is that we will see a more diverse law firm. Well, all of these skills are perceived as relevant, but not for one single individual to have, but rather for a group of individuals to have. So we have here 5 skills. So we have a team of 5 who are then experts in legal, tech, design, business, and soft skills, respectively. Or maybe everyone is good at the soft skills and then just an expert on their business, design, tech, and legal stuff. And then I just want to highlight that the technical part here is not, we've listed it as not that relevant. And I think like hardcore coding skills aren't really required or relevant, but it's good to obviously have an understanding, have some sort of basic knowledge in what people are doing, in what, if you get software developers at your law firm, for example, what they are capable of doing. And really always try to open those channels for communicating and discussion to improve the overall experience and service delivery of a law firm more. So yeah, I think this is a really interesting graph, and thank you for sharing your opinion with us. And here is where I take your questions if I haven't already answered them. The first one is how is to work as a woman in a tech campus. I don't work at a tech campus per se, but I do work in 2 male-dominant fields. So I work in legal and I work in tech or with technology and with tech companies, and a lot of those counterparts are male. And it's something that you do recognize and you do see it a lot, and it's and equality is something that's of course really close to my heart and something I try to emphasize in all the work I do. So for example, I try to promote the startups that are founded by women and are driven by women, and always giving them, you know, a third chance to really come out and present their ideas to our management, because I really think it's important for them to get that chance. So I hope that answers. Like for me, I don't feel it that much. I'm a pretty stubborn person. I'm pretty mean too, so I don't. So I think that helps to grow thick skin, so that you can't really take that much criticism. How much are you? The next question is, how much are you involved in making the business case for the firm, estimating the finances? And yeah, so if it's regarding legal tech, then I'm very much involved in what products really go from sending us an email to ending up at a decision maker's desk. So really, most of what we do in relation to legal tech comes through me at some point. But I don't have the decision-making power. Of course, that lies higher up in the firm. And I haven't been a DLA Piper for a budget round or business case round yet. I started working in June. But I probably will be going forward. Thank you for that question. I answered that one.
You have more?
One more. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
A real life problem that you dealt in DLA as a legal technologist. Okay. Really short sleep. We had a problem with validity of e-signatures and confusion as to what constructs a simple e-signature, an advanced, and a qualified one. And those of you who work with e-signatures know that this is a source of confusion for a lot of lawyers. But in this day and age, we sign a lot of documents online, of course, because meeting in person is really not that safe. And but there was confusion as to how one would go on and about that. And then I contacted vendors and set up internal policies for how and when to use the e-signatures. So that's a really small problem or a little simple problem, let's say, that was easy to solve.
Maybe one last question, Malin, from my side in
Yeah.
challenges within law firms. So I was wondering, in your position, do you talk a lot with clients from law firms also, or are lawyers very protective in that?
Lawyers are always very protective of their clients, I think.
Yeah, they're second nature.
It really depends. I would say it's not usually on my agenda to talk to our clients. However, when clients, for example, need to have, now we're getting into the board meeting season, AGMs. The season is in spring, where companies meet and make decisions for the next year. And those have to be online. And I happen to know a few guys who have tools for that. And our clients are very interesting. So I'm usually interested in solutions like that. So I'm usually putting everyone together in the same Zoom room to talk about these things. But that's the closest I get to client involvement.
So it's more like matchmaking what you do then.
Yeah. In that case, it's more matchmaking. The client has some sort of request, the lawyer sends them to me, and I'm like, okay, well, this might help.
Yeah, I think that's also very successful, because I did it in my previous job at the law firm also, and it's validating good startups for clients, I would say, and that's a good thing. It's very wealthy to do that, I think. But there are a lot more questions, but we have to go to our next speaker, Olga. Maybe after all speakers, we look at these questions again. So maybe you could answer them too. So Olga, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you all. I'm Olga. I'm now based in Russia, but I got international experience, as was mentioned before. Before sharing any slides, I want to introduce myself. How did I become a senior legal engineer in SYKE? It's interesting that my parents are engineers, like real engineers, and my brother is an engineer. So I am the only lawyer in a family. And to be honest, they never took me seriously. It's like, you're a humanitarian, you don't know any technical things, you're like a loser to us. And it was interesting when I called to my dad and said, look, Dad, now I am an engineer too, and even graduated from master's in Legaltech. But to be honest, all lawyers who try to make their life more effective, more like easy, more fun, as Ilona mentioned, are partially legal engineers. Because I remember in 2013, what I did, I didn't know yet, but back then, but what I did, I created a basic CLM for a company I used to work in, because I was like very overwhelmed with the contracts piling on my desk, and I wanted to approve them digitally. And I wanted to be sure that finance and other guys have approved those contracts before I approved. So what we created was a basic CLM, but I didn't know back then. And throughout my career, I always tried to fix any inefficiency we had in the team. And I always worked in-house in a big retail companies. Last 10 years, it was KFC and Pizza Hut. And you know that in a big companies, you have a big teams, you have a wide processes, and it's a you're very lucky if it works well. Normally it doesn't. And there's always something to fix. And my last project as an in-house lawyer was fixing the Pizza Hut UK. That's where I was like facing the technology, because we had thousands of contracts to be sorted. And we didn't know how to do that. We hired more lawyers, but we couldn't cope with that, because the more resources we attracted, the more work come to us. So what we did, we engaged SYKE, where I work now, to help us and build a legal front door. But that's another story, the technology we implemented. what I realized for myself, being involved as a project manager from the client side, is that the technology is what I want to do rather than law. So I left Pizza Hut. I come to do my master's, and I also joined SYKE team early 2020, right before the lockdown. So now I'll share my screen and show some slides about SYKE, so you better understand who we are and what we do. So what we basically do at SYKE, we are a legal technology consultancy. So we do the job that Malin does in-house at DLA, but as an external counsel. We help companies and law firms to choose, buy, and implement legal technology. We are proud to be technology agnostic, so we're not tied to any technology per se. We are choosing what is best for clients. We are a big team, so it's more than 70. I think now it's closer to 80 engineers. We have many projects performed we are proud of. We speak 21 languages, and basically all our engineers are working remotely. Even they used to work remotely even before the pandemic started. So we are very well organized, and I share the opinion of Daan that that's the future, and probably every team will be working remotely soon. So here we are around the world, and this slide is more about what engineers do. So basically, most of the legal engineers at SYKE are lawyers or former lawyers. And especially senior lawyers, they have an experience working in the law firms or in-house team, and they know what the lawyers do, and they know what the lawyers need, and they know how to help them. We also know very well the main legal technology providers. So we can connect the client, i.e. the legal team or general counsel mostly, with the technology provider that is necessary for that legal counsel. And what else we do is we deliver the product faster than in-house team, because we are out of the box and we have time. Our team is dedicated to technology, while the in-house team, or again, lawyers in a law firm, they have to do their legal job and they don't have time to deal with technology. They need someone like Malin or us to help them. So that's what we do. And now I'll stop sharing my screen and talk a little bit more what are actually legal engineers doing there. Are they unicorns? Most of them are not. Most of them, as I mentioned, are lawyers or ex-lawyers. Some of them are not lawyers, but I would say coders or programmers who know how to code, who know how technology works. And so we cooperating in a manner that Ilona described as well. But me personally, I believe that the future lawyer should know how to code, that this is an essential skill. The unicorns must be born sooner or later. And I'm really proud that I can code a little bit, but it's not very efficient because I do it slowly. I only do it mostly for fun because I like it. I see it as a magic. But I wish I started earlier, and I wish I was able to do that professionally, because it makes your life so much easier. When you work in this field, you understand that you can fix this problem with coding. In my case, I would need a couple of days. In case of professional, it would take, I don't know, 20 minutes. And that's amazing. But as I mentioned, most of the legal engineers are not coders. What we are doing, we lead the project from the beginning to the end. That's what senior engineers normally do. We talk to a client, we understand the needs, we do a project plan, we implement in the project plan, we coordinate the team of juniors, and finally we deliver the result to the client. And of course, the most important part of this process is client care. And when I was talking to Alistair Maiden, the founder and CEO of SYKE, when he basically hired me, and we were talking about the development of Russian market, and I was wondering, like, Alistair, what should I do to get the people known SYKE in Russia? What should I do to find a client? And he said, you should be extremely nice. And I think that's essential. You should be extremely nice if you're working in a legal tech consultancy. You should care about your client. Even if you have done your job and your client is happy, you should check out this client. You should talk to his team. You should be able to help whenever it's needed. But we're not only taking care of clients and doing project job, we also do document automation. When you know some tool or few tools automating the documents, you know how to do it faster. And what we normally offer to our clients is that we will automate a couple of documents for you while implementing a tool. And we can teach you afterwards how to do that yourself. And that's actually, again, the part of soft skills, the part of client care. We also do like a training or self-training in with different tools, tech tools, and becoming an expert in different tools. Speaking about myself, I started with Pizza Hut, and I started with a rep store, which is a matter management tool for lawyers. And so I continued working on that. I know the other tools, many different tools, but if you ask me where I am an expert, I can tell like a rep store. But it doesn't mean that I cannot work on other projects. Some of our legal engineers also creating chatbots or other cool tech things, but I think they are better coders than I. And another part of our job is cooperating with vendors. Not everyone involved, mostly the senior people, but everyone is encouraged to speak to vendors in the same manner as clients. So if you see a cool technology on the market, go get a demo, show it to the team, and maybe we will work with that tool, and maybe we will introduce it to our clients, and maybe we will collaborate with that vendor successfully. But all these tasks are pretty cool and fun, and looks like we only do cool stuff, but not. For example, today I got a request from one of the engineers if I could help reviewing Russian contracts. And that's not a dream job for me. That's what I'm trying to avoid, not being a lawyer, no contract reviewing anymore. But speaking Russian, what else can I do? I should help my team. And that the job basically is to verify if the extraction tool works correctly. So they extracted certain information from 100 contracts, put it into Excel spreadsheet, and now they want me to verify if the extraction was correct. So spreadsheet against PDF, no technology implemented, boring, but that's a part of life of legal engineer as well. And I think what we're doing are described, but I want to also tell what people are working with me. And I believe that those are people SYKE looking for in the market. So those people are, first of all, problem solvers. You see the issue, you solve it. You see that your client to whom you want to sell the the most expensive, the most fancy technology, doesn't know how to do mail merge in Microsoft Word, please help the client to do mail merge first, and then try to sell coolest technology. So please solve the problem one by one. We're also looking for good communicators. You must be able to talk to people. You must be able to listen to people and to hear what they need. The other part of it is to be as self-sufficient as possible. So you don't need to wait when someone comes to you and says, Olga, I got a job for you. You'd better check out with your colleagues. Do you have a job for me? Can I help you? Maybe I have some interesting project in mind, and you might be sure that at SYKE you will be heard, you will be appreciated, and if your idea is really great, it would be implemented. This is a very dynamic environment, as you may imagine. We've got many clients, we've got many sales, many projects in one time. The big bosses are always busy, but the team is really friendly, and the team is always there to help, and I think that's amazing. And the other amazing part is that it's all digital. I'm a big fan of any technology. You know, my parents are engineers, so I got no choice, and that inspires me. What else inspires me at SYKE is that magic. When that's actually part of a coding for me. Coding is not easy, but when you finally do it, when you finally get a result and you push that button and you got, I don't know, unicorn flying on your screen because you just coded it. And that's a little miracle that you created yourself. And the same miracle to me when I help clients, when I know that someone is using the solution I implemented for them. I know, for example, that in Pizza Hut now, a year after I left, they still use that legal front door I designed for them, together with SYKE, of course, on the other hand. And I know that they become a bit happier because they work a bit faster now. So it makes me really happy, and I enjoy it. The other side I like, and I think I will finish on that, is that working in SYKE has a bit of creativity and entrepreneurial elements. So you're not only an engineer doing the tasks that was given to you. You are always challenging yourself. You're always looking for opportunities, and that's the way I like it works. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga, for your great insight. I had the same problem with engineers in my family, so and they also were creative. So that's a much more bigger problem, I would say. I have a question more on the business side. Malin was talking about from a perspective of a law firm. You're talking more from a perspective of an independent consultancy entity. What are your thoughts about, should law firms invest more in consultancy entities to support their clients better? For instance, more a client-centric approach in what are the problems of clients in doing, for instance, digital transformations, for instance? Or should they focus more on the independent consultancy entities like SYKE is, or buy one, like Wavelength and Simmons did?
To be honest, I think they need both. And I'll explain you why I think so. My own experience being inside with Pizza Hut showed me that if you don't have a dedicated person who does legal tech only, you have no chance to understand what kind of solutions do you have on the market to solve your problem. And moreover, you don't understand them. You might already have those solutions as part of your Microsoft Office package. And you don't have time, because you're doing the legal job, you don't have time to study it, and your IT team wouldn't help you because they have more important things to do. At this stage, we were back then, I think it's important to hire someone like SYKE to guide you through to give you the right direction. And that's what actually Pizza Hut did. But as you getting familiar with the technology, and as you got your roadmap and know where to go, maybe it's better either to hire someone like Malin, or to shift some person from your team to that position dedicated to legal technology. And I can tell you they did it in Hewlett-Packard, by the way. They decided to transform the business in a manner that lawyers should be able first to code a little bit, especially junior ones. And second, they should be able to understand what technology they need and what budget they need to implement that. And so now when they're encouraged not to deal with routine at all, they only do complex M&A deals and other stuff with technology.
Yeah, okay, thank you. We have some more questions in the chat. Someone is asking, do you think there is any difference between Western and Eastern Europe in the legal tech area?
Yes, I do think there is a difference. I think that Western Europe, especially UK, I'm more UK expert as comparing to other countries. Especially UK is a very well-developed market in terms of legal tech. It's a very big thing there, and everyone is keen to get some if haven't gotten it yet. But in Russia and Eastern Europe, it's a bit slower, but not many cool solutions, like big solutions speaking those languages we speak. But with time, I think it becomes bigger and bigger. And it's great to be there right now and see it happening.
Do you think one of the reasons is because of the regulations in those markets? Because the UK is very liberal in their regulation. When you look at the Netherlands or other countries in Europe, or I'm not sure about Russia, but there's a very strict regulation for lawyers. I
think partially, yes. In Russia, we are, I think we already discussed that last time. In Russia, we are free to do whatever we want as a lawyers. But there is as a legal tech consultancy, international legal tech consultancy, you might struggle with that foreign element in consulting. And SYKE is more familiar with the Western tools. And in Russia, people tend to trust something developed within Russia, for example, especially if you are talking to the enterprises who are partially state-owned. I was talking to a guy who runs a hospital, and a public hospital, sorry, and he really needs some contract automation. But he only wants a product developed in Russia, and for now I'm struggling to find something that suits him.
I heard the same things about Russia from Holger, my fellow board member at ELTA. So he said the same things. We also got a question from Argentina. So amazing what time it is there. But maybe to all speakers. I'm studying law, and I would like to know what you think my first step in legal tech and the legal tech world would be. Any suggestions from the speakers?
I think just start doing something. Just start in Python, for example. I'm a really big fan of that.
I'd say look for internship opportunities.
Yeah, well, it really depends on what your goal is. Malin also talked a lot about design thinking. It's also good to develop yourself in like legal service design, or even more just read nice books about design thinking. So I would recommend to search for things you're really interested in, you're really passionate about, and maybe it's Python, maybe it's coding, but maybe it's the design part. Just look for what really gets you, and then you will develop more.
Yeah, for sure, and I can only second that. Like getting into legal tech, it's such a wide range of things. I think there's so many things that really drives people in this space. Some are just like fed up with how hopelessly slow processes at law firms are, and that's what really drives them. Some see it as a funnel for more diversity and equality for the legal industry as a whole. And then an important aspect is also access to justice. And I know in South America, especially, they use design thinking methods really to drive access to justice issues in the continent as a whole. And Brazil, for example, is huge on access to justice issues, and Colombia as well.
Yeah, agree on that. Daan, you said something?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of internship opportunities. If you're wondering whether legal tech is something for you, or whether you'd be good at it, or whether you'd like it or not, just do a 1-month internship. It's not a waste of your time. It's building a CV, building a curriculum. I mean, it's going to be an enriching experience whatsoever. And another cool idea, which is something I saw a few people doing over the past few years, is if you want to dive into the topic, so at hand, the topic being legal tech, do something on social media about it, like share one legal tech company a day or one a week. That way you're going to start building up a network, you're going to start getting in touch with people, and you're going to develop some kind of sense of what you want to be doing and what type or what element in the space you want to be at.
Yeah, and if we're talking networks, then I would definitely see what legal tech networks and communities you have in your area. I mean, I started with organizing legal hackers 2.5 years ago, and all I did for the first 2.5 years of organizing is organize events on topics that I think are interesting, because I was the only organizer. And then you get to meet a lot of people. You get to go on cool conferences because people think you're important because you're the organizer. And then the whole world just opens up from there. So you really find your people, and they will gladly help you.
I agree on that. As a founder of Dutch Legal Tech in the Netherlands, we did that 7 years ago, and the main focus was bringing people together, and that works very well. So I agree fully on that. Maybe our last question from Marco: what would be the features to become a unicorn? That's an international language, Daan. What you doing?
Getting a lot of funding by a VC capitalist. That's the way to become a unicorn. But in terms of what features, I think it's too broad of a question. There's stuff with AI. There's document automation. There's e-discovery. I mean, all of them are going to require a different set of features to become the unicorn.
I think they're referring to not unicorn startups, but to the fact that Ilona used the term unicorn for legal technologists and legal engineers.
Mm-hmm.
My bad.
Yeah. And I want to add, because in that same presentation I said I prefer legal innovators. So there are some unicorns that can do both, that own both disciplines. But just start at one and just be great at what you're doing and become even better. And exactly like Malin said, if you meet other people and show what you're doing and you're doing that great, then people will invite you for next thing, for events, and they will get in touch with you, and then your network grows, and it will easily. You will easily flow into another challenge. So what would be the features to become a unicorn? Well, if you really want me to answer that, just be very open-minded and really look at what you're passionate about. And if you do what you're passionate about, I think you will be very successful. And maybe I cannot say it because everything is on legal tech, but even if it's not legal tech, please just do what you're passionate about and what you're good at. That's my input.
Okay. Okay, guys, we have to wrap it up now. A big thank you to all the speakers, also from the audience I've read. It was quite insightful. We got a lot of knowledge sharing around, and so if you interested in more, reach out to the speakers, I would say, or to us as ELTA, or become a member to ELTA also. We have a lot of unicorns within our network at ELTA in every country. I think more than 30 countries currently. So become a member of ELTA. You can also take other webinars and be part of that vibrant community. Again, a big thank you to all speakers, and watch out for our new webinar who's coming up. So watch out for our website. Bye and good night.